Welcome back to Her Launch Story. Today we are in my office because life happens. We got busy and forgot to book the studio, in all honesty, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate. But we're here today to talk about fractional support. It's something that's been a running theme throughout the whole series. Our last two guests specifically spoke about it, and obviously we both own businesses that offer that fractional support to our clients. Hopefully it will be quite topical.
Definitely, and I think it will also, give people options to, scale their business without having full-time employees with those overheads. So, I think should we start out just giving a brief overview of our business model?
Yeah.
So do you want to go first on that?
Yeah. So obviously I'm an HR consultancy and we work in a couple of different ways. So we offer retained support for our clients where they would pay a fixed monthly fee and they basically outsource their HR to us. So we, in a sense, become their HR team. So we're fully embedded. They feel like they're our only client and we are kind of home away from home in a way. And we can support from day-to-day operational HR all the way up to strategic HR support and sit on the board and things like that. Or we work in a slightly different way, which is project-based, where clients will outsource project to us, which is fixed fee, and then we complete the project, and then it's paid as one fee. We don't work on hourly rates because, in my experience in consultancy, specifically with HR, you can end up on hourly rates and then something happens and then you end up with a shock at the end when you invoice and the client didn't realise it was going to cost that much, and it just makes for better relationships if everything is upfront and transparent right from the beginning, and then that way the project fee is fixed in stone, we both know where we stand, same with the retainer. And the support and then the customer service and the service we provide is what's important, not the racking up the hours to the clients.
And then typically just with so obviously we understand the retainer model, but for your project base, is that, 3 months, 6 months, what are your normal project bases? Timeframes?
It can vary actually. So I can have some projects that last a couple of days. So things like management training. Someone might ask me to come in just to do 2 days of management training, and I would typically class that as a project because it's a fixed fee. I can have some projects running for what was supposed to be 6 months ended up being a 12-month project where one of my clients wanted to become a B Corp, which had a hell of a lot more to do than what we initially realised. But yeah, it depends. The only reason we say project is because we don't work on hours. So it's really, I guess, it's fixed fee.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I do a similar business model to you as I only work with retainer clients. There are a number of reasons why I do that, but one, because I am a fractional executive assistant, it's for C-suite / founders of companies. It's a very close relationship. So you need to learn their style. You need to learn who's important to them. You need to learn, what stresses them, what makes them happy. You need to learn all of these things, and I just don't feel, for me personally, because the relationship is so important to me, that I could do it, on an ad hoc basis. So I always when I decided to start the business, I always knew that I wanted to do the retainer way. So how it would work is you would purchase a number of hours each month. So for an example, have one client who's like on 40 hours. And then they are guaranteed 40 hours every month. And it gives me a level of security. It gives them support, knowing that they have got that amount of support each month. I think it helps me to build that relationship, like you say.
With me, we don't work on hours. So if 1 month a client needs us more, then that's fine. If they need us a little less, then that's fine. We've both got complete stability there. But how do you find it? What if you don't do the full 40 hours for a client? Is it still is it fixed and that's what they would pay each month?
Yeah, so I do work on it being fixed because I wouldn't sell those hours to anyone else. So I'm selling it to them only, you know what I mean? And with all of my clients, because it's worked on a retainer, we agree up front what the hours would look like, and I'm more than often I go over those hours.
So that's going to be my next question.
Yeah.
What happens if you do more hours than what they've paid for?
So I don't like to say I overservice, but there is an element of, I do go over the hours because I'm just naturally like that. But I will say that it does, maybe in August when they're away, it will be less. So it sort of like balances itself out throughout the year, because sometimes you have, more intense periods than you do others. So I always find that it balances out. And also I track it. So for an example, with one of my other clients, I, over the months, watched how many hours he was using, went to him and said to him, actually, we are on the slightly higher package. How does he feel? And then we just adjust it, to cater for that. But the relationships with my clients are really important to me. So it's also just being totally open and transparent, as you say, that there's no... We adults at the end of the day. Let's just talk it out, and we'll figure it out as we go.
And how long are your contracts typically?
So it depends. Some of them have been. I won't do anything lower than 3 months, purely because it takes time to learn how someone works. It depends. If it's just a project-based, contract, then okay, fine, it could be a month to 2 months. But if it's more one-on-one support, I wouldn't do less than 3 months. But with all of my clients, it's a rolling contract, so just with a notice period, because they are looking for that long-term support. So one of my clients, we've been together for 6 months now, I think. So yeah.
Okay. See, we have different terms sometimes, so we wouldn't do less than 6 months, similar to you, because we have to get to grips with all of the HR policies, get to know the managers, get to know the employees to a certain extent, understand where their HR system, where everything is housed.
And that takes time.
It does, yeah. So 6 months is kind of our minimum. If a client is going for strategy, though, it's a minimum 12 months.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important to see it through to the end, and typically a strategy is a minimum of a 12-month period. So for them to see the impact, then we say that's the minimum term for that type of retainer agreement.
And also I think, in for which is similar to you and I, is that we are positioning ourselves as an extension. You know what I mean? It's not, yes, we consultants, but we very much felt throughout the business. You know what I mean? We want it to be a seamless experience for our client, that we just seen as an extension of their organization.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why I think you need that longer, time. That's why I was very strict in my mind on that. I wanted to retain base clients and I wanted long-term clients.
Yeah. Do you ever hear feedback from people? Because I've had it multiple times. Actually, one of the times I had this feedback, they've become a client, and then they've now been a client of mine for over 2 years.
Yeah.
Where they're not looking for consultancy support, they're not looking for fractional support. They want a full-time person. They want someone in-house. Do you get that feedback a lot from potential clients that you're speaking to?
So I am predominantly, my niche is now in the startup world. Okay. So, they are still finding their way as well. So right now, no. But if the role should ever get too big, we obviously will have that conversation and say, okay, it's time. I mean, I will say I actually ended up supporting my old boss for a bit. That was only ever going to be an interim period, because she always needed full-time support. That's how big the role was. So I was just helping out on a short-term basis with her while we recruited for the full-time employee.
Yeah, we're quite similar. We, I always say we work on a bit of a bell curve. So when we start working with a client, there's quite a lot to get to grips with, and it's quite a steady incline. And then as they grow, obviously the need for HR grows with it.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it's a case of you need in-house HR. So then we work with them to bring in that internal resource. and kind of train them up, onboard them, make sure that they're going to stay
yes
and succeed in the role, and then we slowly taper off. So that's what we kind of see in our world.
And I could definitely see that. I think they might come be, later on in life for some of my clients. Yes, I could see that would change, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there, you know what I mean? Because right now my niche is in the startup world where they don't need full-time employees. You know what I mean?
See, we operate around about the 20 to 60 employees mark. So they are kind of on the cusp, but they definitely need HR. How much of HR they need, they're probably not sure of yet. And then we do support startup founders as well, who want to get their HR done and in place so that they can start as they mean to go on, really know what their people agenda is as they grow. That's particularly for founders who are looking to scale fast.
I mean, it's weird because when I was fully employed as an executive assistant to multiple CEOs, I've never worked really in the startup world until I've obviously started my own business. So I was always unsure how I was going to feel, because I've worked in well-established organizations in the past. But I actually really like the startup world because A, I'm a startup myself. And B, it's like we're building this together, which I find really rewarding to see some of the steps that we've taken or that I've taken with my clients, and we're on this journey together. And I think that's rewarding as well.
I can imagine that is really rewarding, actually. I quite like it when my clients renew. They renew their agreement. No, to be honest, we have really good relationships with our clients, especially the ones that are retained, but even those that aren't. Those that come to us on fixed fee projects, they're always return customers, because that relationship and that service piece is really important. What about, because we both use fractional support, don't we? So, and I think we both use it in a similar way. So obviously we've got the social media. We both use the same person.
We do.
Social media. We both have the same accountant.
We do.
But both of those are in slightly different models, aren't they? So the social media, I know that it's on a retainer basis. So we pay a certain amount a month, and then that gives a certain amount of posts or hours, however it works out. And they do all of our social media for us. But our accountants, it's pay per
service, should we say? Or per item. Which I quite like. Because it's not a monthly debit order that goes off. But obviously then you've just got a budget for when that service comes up. But I mean obviously we are advocates for outsourcing, given the fact that we are fractional for a lot of organizations, but it's definitely been hugely beneficial to my business as well. And I know that you can speak to that, where it's just because I don't need someone full time, but for someone just to manage my social media for the business has just been it's one less thing for me to think about, because when you're the founder, CEO of a business, you've got so much on your plate, you know what I mean? And you might not have the money to hire a full-time person, because for an example, with the fractional support that we use, they cover all their own costs. They cover their national insurance. They cover their insurance that they need for their business. We are not responsible for that, and that's really, really helpful.
Definitely. I use fractional support in terms of freelancers as well for HR consultants. So there are times when I need support on a project, or even a retained client perhaps doesn't necessarily, or they need something that's been unanticipated, and capacity is a bit stretched. So I've got freelancers that I can pull from in terms of resource. But there is no retainer or anything like that. It's basically on an ad hoc basis. They work with me. They work on their own stuff as well, but they work with me as and when needed, which is a massive help as well. Because we're not in a position. I'd love to have a whole team of HR consultants, but we're not in a position. At the moment, there's 4 of us, and I'm kind of on that tipping point where I would love to be able to bring someone else in, but I can't quite afford it just yet. And so having that resource available is really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've recently used someone as well. I had just a really, really manic period, and I just needed them to help with some actual... I was very heavily focused on the client work, that there were areas in the VA house that were not being taken care of. So I brought that person on just to support in those areas, so that things were still going while I was doing the client work. And that is also ad hoc. So I only get charged for the number of hours that, you know, are worked, and it was an absolute like godsend. So
and Christian said a couple of episodes ago, didn't he, that when you're a founder, you have to wear so many hats that you end up not doing the bit that you enjoy, which is the client stuff. So if you can outsource some of the things that we're not experts in, it's been another theme of this series, then why not?
Exactly. And I mean, also like for some of the areas, like the social media, I mean, in the beginning I was like, okay, you know, I know how important it is, and I was, you know, putting in the effort, and then it just like fell off a cliff for me. I was just like not really engaged in doing it, and I know that it benefits the business, but it's not something I particularly like doing.
No.
So, you know, like for everyone, if it's areas that you don't like, you're always going to put it at the bottom. You're always going to think of other things that you should be doing and could be doing, because you don't want to be focused on the stuff that you're just not that interested in. So that's also where the outsourcing or fractional has, you know, totally helps you.
Yeah. For me, in terms of my business model, we tend to find companies give someone HR by default. So typically ends up being either the ops manager or the CFO quite often, and it's landed on their desk because it's been dropped on them, not because it's something that they particularly want, or the EA or office manager. And so that's where we then come in.
Like,
because someone's doing it where it's not their job, it's not their expertise, and they probably don't have the time to do it, which is, I guess, similar to us.
Such an important part of an organisation. The people are, that's it. Like, if your people aren't happy, that's makes for a disaster, really.
Definitely.
So,
So in terms of the benefits then, I guess it would be good to talk about, I mean, obviously, like you said, we're advocates for this, but what are the benefits of outsourcing or using fractional support? So clearly cost.
I mean, it is very cost effective, because I mean, you know, obviously, like we have said, you know, several times, that you only pay for the service that you use. You know what I mean? There's no hidden costs. There's no, you need to pay the NHS or not NHS, what's that called?
NI National Insurance, that's what we're talking about.
Just went totally blank there. You know, you don't need to pay, you know, pay as you earn or any of those costs, because that falls on us as either solo entrepreneur, sole trader. Oh my goodness. Or if you've got a limited company.
Also sick pay,
holiday,
all of that sort of stuff. There's quite a few costs that
although I just don't know when I'm ever going to have a holiday again.
No, can't think about that. But yeah, there's quite a few costs that are hidden that you don't necessarily think of, that you can benefit from, and you get more value, I think. So for example, like me specifically, I will work with clients on a fixed monthly fee that's probably less than an HR assistant or an HR advisor, and they get strategic value because we can offer more at a reduced rate. Like, so the person who does our social media, she's been in design in the fashion industry for absolute years, and she's doing our social media for a fraction of the value that she's worth, probably. So it does, that value piece, I think, is really important.
Yes, 100%, and I think that but I also think that there is obviously a place for both in this world. You know what I mean? Where there's definitely a place for the fractional element, and then there's definitely a place for full-time, you know, people. And it's an interesting, you just got to think about, you know, where you are in your business, what level of support you actually do need. And then, you know, take it from there. And I think there's also an element of like productivity. where, you know, if you think about it, sometimes, you know, you pay someone, 7 or 8 hours a day if they're full-time employed. Doesn't mean that you're getting 7 or 8 hours work of productivity, you know what I mean?
No.
It can be lower. Where with the fractional support, you only pay for those hours of productivity.
Yeah. And I think it's not just about expertise and skills either. It's about the visibility of other companies. So I know that I quite often will talk to my clients about obviously keeping anonymity and confidentiality, but what I'm seeing elsewhere, what I'm seeing in the market, what the trends are and stuff like that. And it helps to keep you or keep companies competitive in a way, because they're kind of like ahead of the trends, and that really makes a difference, I think, when it comes to designing strategies and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think, you know, do you also think that there was a level of like, you know, there's been quite a boom in the whole, obviously, remote working, and I know companies are now moving, you know, in a different direction, but do you think we saw a spike in the fractional support since COVID?
I haven't really thought about it in conjunction with remote working, but I guess so, Yeah, I mean, I used to say when companies were looking to go back to working in the office after COVID, the number one concern was always, I don't know how much work they're doing when they're at home. And I used to say, well, you don't know how much work they're doing when they're in the office. They might be typing away, but they could be online shopping. They could be emailing their friends. So it's just as unknown whether you're in the office or not. But I think that was a big concern, that visibility piece. Now companies have kind of come to terms with that. Perhaps that is a reason why fractional has increased. But I have noticed the growth over the last couple of years.
Yeah. I think it also, you know, there's numerous, you know, benefits for both the person that's doing the fractional work and the company that's getting that support. So I think that's also contributed to, you know, the boom in it, where especially during, you know, the COVID era, where flex or you know, that balance between work life, you know what I mean, just showed people how important it is, you know what I mean. So I think that's also...
But before COVID, there was the boom in the gig economy, wasn't there? Which essentially died because of COVID. And I guess this fractional remote working is the second wave of that gig economy, I imagine.
Yeah. See, I mean, for me, I don't think that it's changed. The support that I offer, I don't think it's changed. I'm sorry, I've just gone completely blank now.
It's because my phone went.
Yeah.
But the microphone won't pick it up because it's over there.
Yeah. True. I don't think I need to be permanently based in the office anymore. And I can definitely see that my clients also feel that way. You know what I mean? Do I go and visit my clients? Yes. I'm a sociable person. I think it's, you know, back to that piece on building those strong relationships. So yes, do I go and visit my clients? Definitely. The ones that are obviously the closest to me.
Yeah.
I go and see them. But I don't feel that the support that you and I offer is influenced by the location.
Yeah. Would you, if a client asked you to have regular hours on site, would you do that if it was like once a month, once a week? Would you consider it?
Yes, I think it would. I think it depends, because I'm not, you know, the company I run is a virtual assistant business, the emphasis on the virtual part, you know what I mean? So I don't mind having, you know, I've gone in to see one of my clients in London multiple times, but I don't, and it's not that I say like, I don't want it dictated to me, but there's a reason why I'm running my own business. So I think I'm giving a very long answer. Potentially, yes. Yeah. Depending on what it was for.
Yeah. Because I think I do go see, I have it written in my terms sometimes, it depends on the client, but that I will be visible either once a month, twice a month, or something similar. It tends not to be more than that. But I can do that because a lot of what I will be working on won't necessarily be confidential all of the time. So I can pick up other stuff for other clients when I'm on a client site. Obviously, if it's a meeting, I would make sure that I'm in a closed office to have those conversations. But I can do those. Whereas you're working with CEOs and execs all the time, that confidentiality, I guess, comes into it.
Yeah, definitely. But then I will do things like, so one of my non-negotiables with my clients is you have to meet me every single week, and then you have to meet me once a month for a planning session. And that is, when I meet you in the discovery call, that is what I will say to you. It is a non-negotiable for me. I am not here just to be a task-driven person. I'm here to act as your, strategic business partner. And in order for me to give you the best level of service, I need to build a relationship with you. So that's one of the things. And because I become, almost an extension, like one of my clients, I join their team call every single week. So I know the full team. And I've built relationships with those team members. So yes, I might be fractional, and no, I might not go in once a week, but I'm still very much felt throughout the organization.
Yeah, same with us. We have really good relationships with everyone across the board. My husband sometimes comments when I'm on the phone to one of my clients that, is that a client or is that a friend? I'm like, no, it's a client. Because we just build that relationship where they can trust us, where we feel like an extension of their team. And it's, there's only some things you can say to an HR person or to an EA that will remain confidential, will kind of stop at the door, which is us. Because as a CEO, it can be quite lonely. You need to be 100%. Able to get things off your chest and just talk things out loud to see if what you're thinking and what you're saying is really what you mean.
Just act as that sounding board as well, you know what I mean? And you talk about confidentiality. That's like the key to my role, because I obviously at times know what's happening long before other people do. It might just be me and that CEO that have had a conversation, or me, the CEO, and HR, or it'll be a very small group of people that will know what's about to happen, before everyone else does. So it's a key, that's a non-negotiable.
No, that's fair. We offer. They talk about stickiness, don't they, sometimes in sales and stuff like that. And we offer, as one of our packages, we offer an HR system. Which I guess is kind of sticky. I really don't like that term, by the way, but I'm going to use it. Which is sticky, so it does help with the renewals and stuff like that. But the main reason we offer an HR system is because it's easier for us. So the one thing you lose when you go into consultancy from an HR perspective is knowing off the bat what people are earning, how long they've been with the business, who they report into, what was their last performance review like, and all stuff like that. So offering an HR system that we manage, when we're talking to our clients, we have all of that information to hand, and it just makes it a lot smoother. It means that we can provide tailored advice for every single conversation that we're having, without having to go through the whole rigmarole of, and how long have they been with you, and what was the last conversation about their performance review, and stuff like that. So
it's that seamless experience that, like you said right in the beginning of this episode, where your clients feel like you don't have any other clients. And that's that extra layer of like, okay, you actually still getting the same level of support if it was full-time or part-time.
And I mean, we can do that. We operate almost like an HR team. So I do the strategy. We've got someone at advisory level and operational level, and then we've got someone at the admin level, and then we've got someone in learning and development. So we almost function as if we was an internal HR team. We've all got our own areas of responsibility. So that does help with capacity. But yes, clients do sometimes feel like they're our only client, and that can also be a challenge.
I know. It's like, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Yeah. So I think there's, we said, or you said earlier on that there's a time and place for full-time and there's a time and place for fractional. So I think in terms of the challenges, obviously that's one of the challenges of being fractional is having a client absorb too much of your time. But from a client's perspective, for me, it's about the relationship. So the challenge is that someone will just keep you on as a client because it's paying the bills and because it's easy money and the relationship's really good, rather than have that conversation and say, you're ready now for the next step. And I think that's a really key challenge for clients and companies, and they need to find the person that they trust will have that conversation with them.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's I think it just boils down to, like you say, it's all about the relationship.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you outgrow each other.
Yes.
That's also not a bad thing.
No. That means that you're both progressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a good episode, I think. And I think it's shown that there are some, obviously there's lots of positives to outsourcing, and how that can help a business.
And it can be used as a stepping stone.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And that's okay. If you're looking to scale, and this is how you're going to scale, whether you're scaling yourself, looking for outsource support or other. So I think it's good.
Definitely. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode.
Yeah.
We will be back we've got 2 more episodes in this.
We have 2 more episodes, yes.
Season.
The next episode I'm a little bit nervous for.
Me too. Because
I was going to say, shall we explain why?
Our husbands will be joining us to talk about their experience.
Yes, so from the other side, from the partner's side, what was it like for them, us launching a business and being in the first year?
Yes. I'll be doing some prepping though.
Yes.
Not me prepping him. No swearing now.
No swearing. What's funny to you might not be funny to me.
Yes. Oh, goodness me. So sorry. Okay.
Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming to my office rather than the studio. And we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. And remember to please like, subscribe, and leave us any comments if you've got anything to ask us or share. And we will, of course, cover it in the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thank you.